Hello everyone and welcome to Whiskey Wednesday. I've been waiting to do these whiskies for so long. We're only doing one of them today, hopefully the other one in a couple of weeks' time. But this is Glenallachie 12-year-old. Now, long story short, Billy Walker is a genius and he seems to buy distilleries from Pernod Ricard who don't really use them, and then he turns them into modern whiskey gold mines for both himself and for me and you, the big whiskey sherry fan. So he bought Benriach and Glendronach, he then also bought Glenglassaugh, turned them into what I consider modern classics. Certainly Glendronach. Benriach has just gone through a packaging change, but they've got a new master distiller in Rachel Barry and a new owner. So that kind of makes sense for like a new generation. But I love Billy's stuff for Benriach. It was weird and experimental. Some of my favourite whiskies. With Glendronach, he just found all of the sherry casks and just turned us all into fans of it in such a big, big way. He sold those 3 distilleries for something silly like $460 million, I think, so like 290 million pounds or something. Had a bit of a break for a couple of months and then went to Pernod again and decided to buy Glenallachie from them. If only someone would do that with Longmorn, wouldn't that be fantastic? Especially someone independent. And the first couple of releases were quite unusual. They were pretty interesting. A lot of single cast stuff, just testing water. And then this is the standard 12-year-old. They do have a 10-year-old, which is a cash strength bottling. The 15 is all sherry. The 18 is like sherry and virgin oak and bourbon and loads of other stuff. But the 12-year-old, they're all 46%. They're all natural colour. They're all non-chill filtered. This 12 that we're trying today is virgin oak, bourbon and Oloroso Sherry influenced. And just look at the colour on it. For something that's 12 years old and for something that has got 3 different cask influences, that is one of the darkest 12-year-old whiskies that I've ever seen, which is quite impressive. The 15 as well, being all sherry, is ridiculous. But honestly, for you fans that are all, I know this isn't all sherry, the one we're trying today, but for what we were saying about Glendronach 4 and 5 years ago, I feel like this is the new version of that. Not that Glendronach's gone bad, Glendronach will always be very good, but anything Billy touches, he's like the King Midas of whiskey. It just turns into gold and he finds the best casks ever. So if you like Glendronach and you like that style, I'd highly encourage you to try Glenallachie, which means Valley of the Rocks in Scottish. So it's a nice alternative for you. That's the lowdown. That made me a bit out of breath. There was a lot to talk about, very enthusiastic about it. So we'll smell it, we'll taste it, and we'll see what's going on. The nose is the most full, fruitiest, juicy thing you can imagine. It's full of peach and tangy sour green apples and butterscotch and honey. There's even like elements of strawberry, raspberry, all these big kind of rich, tangy, tart, sweet summer fruits. And a little bit, maybe this is a UK thing, I'm not too sure, but like chew-it sweets, which are normally like infused with the most synthetic strawberry flavouring you can ever imagine, and they come in these annoying little packets, but it smells a bit like that. But peach, apple and butterscotch, the leading flavours, 3 of my favourite flavours or smells in whiskey. So it's really rich, very alluring in terms of taste. Initially a little sharper and slightly more bitter. Loads of bitter chocolate, which was what this first tastes like when I very first popped the cork. And then there's like a very short, immediate wave of those smells turning into flavours. Tangy fruit, very tart, not overly intense. Just full of like Scottish summertime, chocolate, strawberries, loads of big stone fruits. It's not salty or coastal, although there is a slight bit of it that reminds me of Bunnahabhain, but that's probably the sherry influence overall. Affordable, beautifully rounded. The finish has that kind of citrusy, drying lightness to it, which you wouldn't expect from the colour and you wouldn't expect from the initial smell, which is full of those rich kind of ripe stone fruit flavours. Truly incredible whiskey, especially for the money. I think this walks comfortably with like an 8.5 out of 10. It's wonderfully rounded. It's something you should certainly try and get your hands on if it's available in your area. I'm not sure what batch this is, but it's the darkest one of the 12-year-old I've seen thus far. But yeah, Glenallachie 12-year-old, 8.5 out of 10. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Make sure you can get hold of it. I'm Phil, this is Whisky Wednesday, and I'll see you next week.